All right, hello and welcome everyone. I'm excited to introduce today's Microsoft Dynamics 365/CRM User Group topic, security. This is not only a popular topic in the user group community, but needless to say, an essential one. Before I let Mike Dodds walk you through it though, I have a few quick housekeeping notes to cover, so bear with me here. I'm Julia Flaherty, Digital Marketing Specialist at Ledgeview Partners. For those of you that haven't been on our webinars before and don't know us, we are a business and technology consulting firm who partners with organizations to transform sales, marketing, and customer service operations and processes supported by core technologies like CRM and marketing automation. Through different processes and solutions, our experts at Ledgeview help you to achieve your unique business goals in sales, marketing, customer service, and CRM. We estimate that today's webinar is going to take up about 40 minutes of your time. The webinar is being recorded and will be available on demand after this live session. All of you will receive a follow-up email after the webinar is complete with a link to access the presentation. So if you haven't already, go ahead and add @ledgeviewpartners.com to your safe senders list to ensure you get the email. Or if you do find any email from us in your spam folder, go ahead and mark that as not spam. We encourage you to share this within your company and your professional networks. To ensure the best audio quality, we have all of you on listen-only mode. But if you do have a question or comment, please submit those in the question pane of your GoToWebinar control panel, and we will follow up with you afterwards, as we do have a full agenda today. We will, of course, be covering your user group questions that you submitted during registration at the end of today's session, so be sure to stick around for the whole agenda. On the agenda today, Mike Dodds is going to be walking you through the Spotlight topic, demoing it, answering your questions, and then I'll be wrapping things up by sharing some user group resources you can take advantage of later on. For those of you that don't know Mike Dodds, he is a Microsoft Dynamics 365 certified support consultant here at Ledgeview. Our customers really love his ability to save them time as he lends his energy and analyzation skills to solve their unique challenges. And as our director of marketing often says here, he's also a great weatherman. So I'll let him get things started and tell us how it's looking outside today. Mike, welcome.
Thanks for that wonderful introduction, Julia. And it's summer, so it's nice, warm, finally sunny here. It's been raining for the past few days, so I hope wherever you are, it's nice, warm, and sunny as well. We got a lot of great information to get to today, so let's jump on in. So security naturally leads us to the question, why do we even set up security? Kind of seems like a tongue-in-cheek kind of question here, but a lot of people will ask, well, what's the reasoning for set up security? Well, give me some more information here. Security really is the driving force that allows and prevents users from taking actions within Dynamics 365. So if you think about it, Dynamics 365 CRM is a very robust, very one-stop shop place. There are certain pieces of information that we want people to have access to, but also areas that we don't want them to have access to. Security is where we set that up. So understanding the nuances of security is very important. It also allows you to customize the access rights of users based on their security role. And by security role, I mean also their role within the company. So salespeople versus managers versus executives versus system administrators, and that can go on to versus marketing versus customer service, etc. It also safeguards your data, not just from, you should have access to this, you should have access to that. I don't want you, salesperson A, to be able to edit salesperson B's account. It also protects it from the standpoint of mistakes. You don't want somebody to accidentally delete your accounts and then wipe away a whole bunch of your data. That keeps system admins up at night. So security is a place where you can definitely help to safeguard your data and keep the right people to have the access to be able to delete data and prevent those who shouldn't be able to delete data from being able to do that. It also provides adherence to company policy. There is company policy certain times where, I shouldn't be able to read another person's accounts or be able to see their contents, etc. Security allows you to adhere to those various company policies. And then also separation of data where it's needed, and then provide collaboration on that data where it's necessary as well. So security is more than just protecting your system. It's also allowing for collaboration. Well, how do we get there? Business units. Do you have multiple divisions? Do you need separate access to records in Dynamics based on those divisions and departments? So if a user is a member of one department, should they not be able to access records in a different department? Or even see the information? Okay? Or they can see it but can't edit it. If you're answering yes to that question, then business units is definitely something that you should be setting up in your Dynamics 365 environment, because it enhances the capabilities of security. To be able to have that separation of saying, hey, I can view everybody's data within my division, but I can't see this other division's data. Well, we need a way to separate that, because it's all driven from the owner of those records. Because security is driven off of owner, an owner isn't a particular business unit, which can also be thought of as a division or a department. So business unit can be a very important piece to set up, and then that enhances security and the different abilities you have within security. And we'll get into that when we go into security actions and security rights. So security actions, there are multiple different security actions here. Now, when I go through these, I'm going to expand upon them after I go through them. So it's going to sound pretty basic and boring to start off with, but there's a lot of nuances to them. So create is the ability to create a record. Read, you can read that record, the information within the record, you can read it. Editing, so write means edit. Delete means delete. Okay, now we're starting to get into some that are a little bit unique. Append and append to, these tend to go hand in hand. So within Dynamics 365, if you're an admin and you've been looking around in the system, or if you attended one of my admin trainings, you'll notice that Dynamics is a hierarchical or a relationship-based system. So the ability to associate a child record to a parent record, so for instance, associating an opportunity to an account, which is a very common action, anytime you create an opportunity that occurs, that's append access. And that append access is done on the opportunity. That same action has another security right with append to. And that's the ability to have the child record associated to the parent. Okay? And you're setting that on the parent, so on the account. So you're appending to the account, you're appending the opportunity. So that's how you want to think about those. Okay? And then assign, that's the ability to reassign records. And then share, the ability to share records. Now I'm going to dive into these a little bit more and give you some nuances and some best practices with this. So ability to create the record, some little gotchas or nuances to this. In Dynamics, if you spent any time in here, you'll probably understand this saying. Dynamics is its own little world. So in the Dynamics world, create means every action that is taken after you hit the plus button to open up a new record, everything you do in that record until you hit save for the very first time is considered a create action. So what that means is editing, you're technically editing the record, but it's the create action because the record hasn't been created yet. This is where security starts to get a little bit confusing, okay? So everything you do before you hit save for the very first time is create. It's a very, very important thing to keep in mind. That includes who you set as the owner of the record. Very common user complaint or issue is when you say, oh, users are only ever going to be creating accounts or leads for themselves, but they can reassign their own records. That we want them to be able to do. Users are definitely going to find ways where they're going to say, well, I'm going to create this record and then reassign it to my coworker. Why don't I just skip the in-between step, and while I'm creating it, I just set them as the owner? If their create access is only set at user, it's going to give them an error message. And we're going to go into security rights where I explain these different nuances. But that's a very key aspect with create. And you're going to get a complaint as an admin coming back and saying, why can't I skip the step of saving it and reassigning it? It's because of that fact that create is everything that is done before you hit save for the very first time. Okay? Read access seems very straightforward, seems very easy to understand, except for the fact that on a record within Dynamics, you also have the ability to see other entities' records through subgrids, through lookup fields. So you think about it, you can have read access to that record, but what about the other records that are on that record that you might not have access to? That's the other important thing that you have to keep in mind. Okay? Right, that's editing. Editing includes changing the status. It includes making edits to any field because status is a field that you're changing. So that's a very important thing to keep in mind. Delete is a very, very dangerous thing to give access to. And I highly recommend do not give delete access to users on accounts. Because if you delete an account, you're basically saying goodbye to the contacts, the opportunities, the activities that are associated to that. And it starts to cascade down. If you've attended any of my admin trainings or attended the advanced admin webinars, we talk about cascading rules. This is where that comes into play. That delete action can really start to have a massive effect on your system. So the delete action should be really reserved for admins, and at the very most, they should only be able to delete their own records. And again, I don't feel that they should be able to delete accounts because it has too much of a detrimental effect. Assign. Being able to reassign their own records, yep, totally makes sense. This is where you're kind of starting to look into the hierarchical portion of positions within the company. So a user is generally going to be able to reassign their own records to other people if they're asked to do so. But a manager, they might need to reassign one of their users' records to somebody else. They naturally would need to have that access and ability. Now, share is a very dangerous area. A lot of people say, oh yeah, they should be able to share any of their records. You would set that as user. You should only have them be able to share their own records with other people. They shouldn't be able to share other people's records. Again, this is completely a case-by-case basis, but there are security implications when you're talking about giving a user a right to share someone else's records with another person. So that's a very important piece to keep in mind with the share ability. So security rights, you heard me kind of say user access. So let me go and explain what those security rights mean. So security rights. Security is driven off the owner of the record. So every record in CRM has an owner. I say that in quotations because there are certain records that are organization owned, meaning there's not actually a user that owns them. Okay? What we're talking about here is when a user owns the record. Okay? A user is set to a particular business unit. Okay? When none is selected, it's a red empty circle, meaning they don't have security rights. No access. You don't have any access to that. Each action, each security action that we have has its own security right for each entity. Okay? It's a huge section within Dynamics, and we'll go in and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay? User, it looks like a yellow quarter circle. What this access means is you can only perform the security action on records that you own. If you don't own the record, you're going to get an insufficient permission there. You can't perform it. Or you're just not going to be able to see the record. Business unit. This is one that becomes very important. If you only have one business unit and organization mean the exact same thing because there's only one business unit. And I'll explain. For a business unit, it's a yellow half circle. You can only perform the security action if you are in the same business unit as the owner of the record. If there's only one business unit, well, everybody's in the same business unit, so you're going to be able to perform that action for every single record. So it's the same as organization. Okay? Parent-child business unit. This is the one that gets a little bit tricky. This means you can perform the security action for all records that are owned by users in your business unit and any records owned by a user in a business unit that's a child of yours. So let me give you an example. Myself and Julia both have the same exact security role. We have an edit action that has the parent-child business unit on accounts. Except I'm in the parent business unit, she's in the child business unit. Okay? I can edit my record and her record. She can only edit her record. She cannot edit mine because I'm in the parent. She can't look up to mine and edit mine, but I can go down to the child business unit that she is in and edit hers. So as you can see, that one starts to get a little bit confusing. That one's represented by a green 3/4 circle. Organization, we call this green wide open. Basically, it means you can perform the security action regardless for any record in Dynamics because it's green, it's wide open. Doesn't matter who owns it because you have access to make the change for any record in the organization. Okay, now let's jump into Dynamics 365 and I'm going to show you security setup and I'm going to explain how all of this works together. All right. So to access the security area, we're going to click on our drop-down area, go to Settings, Security, Security Roles. So I'm going to look at the out-of-the-box security role salesperson. As you can see, there's a lot of tabs up top here. So if we go into Core Records, if I look at Account, there's my actions. So these are your security actions. Create, read, write, delete, append to, assign, and share. Okay. Out-of-the-box salesperson can only do all of these actions if I'm the owner. Okay. Only one that I would change here is that I would take away the delete privilege. Okay. Very important note here. If you're going to change anything with an out-of-the-box security role, don't do it. Copy the role, create your own. Okay. You always want to leave the out-of-the-box security roles as they are and create your own. So here, we're looking at the user. This is your key right down here. So these are the security access. This is your security rights. These are your security actions. This is the entity on the side here. So none selected, user, business unit, parent-child business unit, and organization. So if we come in here, we do create. If I say, okay, they can actually create it for anyone within their business unit. So it's going to look to my business unit and say, okay, well, I'm in the business unit Ledgeview Partners. Anybody in the business unit called Ledgeview Partners, I can set them as the owner. Okay, if I try to set it to Julia, who's in a different business unit, I'm going to get an error because I can't do that. If I come over here to read, it's going to look at the owner of the record that I'm trying to read. And if it's somebody else's in a different business unit than mine, it's going to not allow me to do that. Okay. If I open up somebody, so this security access right here, where it says I can read anyone's in my business unit, but only edit my own. If I open up someone else's in my business unit, it's going to be a read only. I won't be able to edit it in any way. The way I'm changing is I'm just simply clicking on the circle here. If I want to make mass changes to the entire account entity, just do it like this. If you want to make wholesale changes now on the create side, you can click here to make the changes. It'll go all the way down. And then you can go across, or excuse me, you can go down here, and then there's miscellaneous privileges down here. So bulk delete, this basically gives somebody the bulk delete privilege. This is not something that I recommend that a general salesperson user should have. This is more going to be reserved for admin level users. Okay. So different actions that you want them to be able to have, being able to publish email templates, being able to view audit history, items like that. This is where you're going to turn those various pieces on. Then you come across the top and you have the various tabs. So you have marketing, sales. Sales is where you're going to see your various products, quotes. Your core records are going to include accounts, contacts, opportunities, leads. Those are where those ones are going to exist. Service, that's where cases are going to exist. Business management is hugely important for this section down here. If you're using the app for Outlook, want to make sure that this is set. Dynamics 365 for mobile, make sure that's turned on. Export to Excel. If somebody's having an issue with not being able to export to Excel, this is the first place I'm checking, right here. Okay, so those are different security areas. You set up a custom entity at all, you need to set up security access for that custom entity. Otherwise, your user will not be able to access that custom entity that you created. They're going to exist right here. Then when you're done making your changes, you save and close. It's going to update the role. Anytime you make a change to a security role, have the user refresh their browser and then perform the action that you made the update to. Okay? To assign a security role, you go back to the security section. go to the user. You just simply need to check mark the user, go manage roles, and assign. Check mark, click OK, and it will assign that security role. Security roles are additive. So what that means is whatever security role that you have assigned to them, the highest level security is the one that's going to win. So if you have one security role that gives them read access at a user level, but then you have another one that gives them read access at a organization level for that same entity, and that same entity at the read level, the organization one's going to win. So that's a very important thing to keep in mind when you're creating and adding multiple security roles. So everything I showed you, you saw was entity-based. Security in Dynamics 365 is entity-based. That naturally leads to the question, well, I want people to be able to edit the fields and have access to, opportunities, accounts, etc. But there's specific fields in there that they shouldn't be able to touch. I need to reserve them for management to be able to make those edits too. They can read them, but they can't edit them. Or I flat out don't want them to read it. It can be on there, it's just got to be hidden for only certain people to see. Can you do that in Dynamics 365? You're obviously reading my screen, so the answer is yes, you can do that. Field Security Profile is the way you do that. Field Security Profile is what you set up. You had to enable Field Security, on the field first. So let's jump into Dynamics and I will show you how to do that. So if we go to, say, Accounts, and we're going to deem that the account number field is one that only a specific group of people should be able to update. This piece, once it loads, so we'll come over here, and then I'll click on the form. So this is just another way that you can simply get to the section where you can edit the form. Okay, the other way to do it is to go through the customize the system, and then go to that section and then go to form. Both ways will work. So I already have account number on here, and actually I already have it set up. So let me just jump in here and show you how it would be done. So you would go to Details, click Edit, and this will open up the field itself. You want to enable field security. Then click Save and Close. OK. Save, publish, save, and close. Cardinal rules of making edits within Dynamics 365 from an admin perspective. Then we need to get back to Settings, Security. Within the security portion, Field Security Profiles. So then we would go to New. Now what's really nice is, let's say we want everybody to read the account number. Okay, we want everybody to have that access. So we're just going to name it and click Save. Okay, with this you have to click Save in order to add members. Okay, there's one business unit that I have. Okay, if you have one business unit and you want everybody to be able to read everybody to have read access to something, or everybody to have certain type of access in a field security profile, just go to Teams. Go to Add. Right here, LVP Webinar. Everybody as soon as they're created inside of Dynamics 365, will immediately be assigned to that business unit because it's the only business unit you have, and they will immediately be assigned to that team. No maintenance, okay? So you don't have to then, every time a new user is added, go to the field security profile and add them as a user to this. Takes the maintenance piece out of it. So we go to the field permissions. We find account number right here. Allow read. Select yes. Then we just save and close. Now we do the reverse portion. And we say, okay, well now we need to set the people who can actually edit the account number. So we go edit account number. And now we're going to select the few people that can do the editing of the account number. And this is where we go to users, add, and we're going to choose Christina and Mike. Click add. Go to field permissions. Go to account number. Read. Allow update. That means edit. And allow create. This means they can edit the field on creation. So again, as I talked about, creation is its own little world. It's everything that's done before you hit save. Because you can edit this field before you hit save for the very first time, you need a separate access. So we hit OK. Now we have field security profile. Because I'm not logged in as Mike Dodds, you would think, hey, I'm not going to have access to edit this. For those of you that have attended my webinars before, you're probably going, he's probably not telling the truth on that one. And that is actually a very, very true statement, and I will show you why. So if I come down here to account number, as soon as this finishes loading right down here under account number, I'm going to show you that I, as a CRM admin, can still edit this. That leads to the question, why can I edit this even though I didn't add myself as somebody that could edit it? The reason why is because I'm a system administrator. And all system administrators are immediately added for field security so they can continue to do their job. System administrator, I open this up. I'm set here as a system administrator. My field permissions, I have yeses across the board. That's why I can perform that action. All right, now for our user submitted questions. What is the best practice when setting up a new security role? Best practice when setting up a new security role? First of all, that's an excellent question. When you create a new security role, you should always locate the security role that most closely resembles the one you're looking to create. The reason I suggest that is you don't ever want to create one from scratch because you're wasting your time. One, inevitably something is going to be missed. There are a lot of really, really strange security rights that you need to access things in Dynamics that are set up in those out-of-the-box security roles. Okay, so you find one of those out-of-the-box security roles that most closely matches what you want to create, open it up, choose copy role, then make your edits. Okay, then move on. Okay, so don't ever start from scratch because it's a giant waste of your time, and then you're going to be dealing with insufficient permissions errors for a long time to come. Okay, or you're going to be, looking at another one and trying to match what those rights are within the customizations and also within the core records section and business management, etc. So definitely a better way to do it this way. Now, I did just say don't ever start from scratch. Here's your little caveat. Okay. I want to adjust one user's security role slightly. What is the best option? I don't want to have to create security for everyone else, or excuse me, I don't want to raise security for everyone else. I honestly recommend setting up a blank security role where you just provide the higher access that this person needs. The reason why this is the caveat where you could do that, you're adding this security role to one that they already have. They're keeping their existing security role that gives them all the rights and access they need to do their job. You're just giving them this extra security that they need to perform this new function. Okay? So let's say they now need the ability to assign other people's opportunities. Okay? So you would give them that access. Or if it's a custom entity that's been created and they need that access, but everything else should stay the same, you go to the custom entity section and you give them the security rights for those specific areas, save it, and then you assign that new security role to that one user. Then you have it all set.
All right, well, thank you for sharing your insight and providing that great demonstration, Mike. It's always nice to see the technology come to life on screen. If you like today's session, join us for our upcoming webinar called CRM from A to Z later this month, and watch for our next user group webinar coming this fall. That registration link is already live for you at ledgeviewpartners.com. So even if you're not sure if you'll be able to attend today, I'd still encourage you to go register so you have it added to your calendars and receive the on-demand link after this session. We at LedgeView have a lot of excellent resources to offer you when you're interested in learning more about topics like Microsoft Dynamics, or maybe some more about marketing or customer service or sales. We really have a comprehensive library of resources to offer you that everyone can benefit from in some way. Almost 30 ebooks in our current library, plus many, many, many infographics and blogs for you to choose from. We also invite you to check out past user group webinars via ledgeviewpartners.com. Simply click on Resources at the top menu and then Dynamics 365/CRM User Group. There you'll be able to access what you may have missed. We also invite you to join our Dynamics user group on Facebook. Just go to facebook.com/ledgeviewpartners, then click on Groups in the left-hand corner below our profile picture and request to join by answering 2 very simple questions. And don't leave me yet because of a very important note about User Group Summit. If you register before June 27th, you can save $400 on your tickets as a group. Don't miss the opportunity. It's one of the best and most thorough CRM educational and networking events of the year. We're very excited to see you there and offer an additional 10% off to you using the code PRP at LedgeView. I don't know about you, but Florida in fall sounds great to me. All right, folks, that's it for today. Thanks so much for sticking around, and we'll see you next time. Wishing you a great summer.